Candace. Oh my God. Is there a way to make attendee a panelist real quick? No? You're muted now.
Here, let me just give me one.
Attendees 3. Okay, allow to talk, promote to panelist. Got it. Hold on a sec.
Okay, I see it. Should I join it, panelist?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, see you. Okay.
I'm back.
All right. Apologies for the technical difficulties. It's a Friday. We're all trying to get this over with and then move on. So I want to give a minute or so. We'll begin soon, but I just want to give everybody a minute to join, prepare for this, and then we'll get ready soon.
For all of those joining us, including our panelists, you guys could share your spring break plans, but you can only use emojis to share what your plans are. All right, so I'll share my example in a second and make sure when you share that you click everyone and not just a host and panelists. There we go.
Okay,
Those
are
are
we
my
ready? Okay. Cute. Does that mean camping? What is that? Sleeping?
camping, hanging out with my cat, and hiking.
Nice.
Ooh, music. I like that.
Ooh, Ching, are you going skiing? What is that?
I know, I'm trying to figure it out.
Skating?
That was supposed to be hiking.
Hiking was a hard one to figure out. I
Yeah.
just went through. Ooh, the beach, sun, warmth.
Ooh,
love
where are you
that.
going, Dionisio?
Miami or Florida.
Oh, nice.
Nice. I'm jealous. I'll be here working. There are emojis for paper,
Same here, same here.
laptop. Okay. All right. Oh, Carla, are you getting married soon?
Yeah, in July, so I'm wedding planning.
Oh, congratulations. Okay. All right, let's get started. All right, everybody. Welcome to the second workshop of the Student to Scholar webinar series called Community Leadership, How Volunteering Builds Character. My name is Gina Rahimi, and I am the Page Grant Coordinator at the Page Education Foundation. I will be moderating today's discussion, and before we get started, I want to let everyone know that this session is being recorded. So if you have any questions, please enter them in the chat box below, and we'll do our best to answer them later. So before we continue on, we're going to ask you, the audience, a couple of questions, and please put your responses there as well. So the first question we want to ask you is, what does community mean to you? When you think of the word community, what does it mean to you? togetherness, teamwork, acceptance. Yeah. Community means not only the people who live in my area, but the people I connect with through work, school, etc. Someone who you can rely on. Yeah, those are pretty good responses. All right, next question is, what do you think volunteering means? So when you think of the word volunteer or volunteering, what do you think that means? Or how do you define it? Dedication. Giving back to improve lives of those around me. Giving something without expecting something in return. Community for me means the people and the ideology of connections we bridge together. Nice, nice. Those are pretty good responses. Okay. Well, thank you for that. All right, I want to kick off by thanking everyone for joining us today. A special thank you to paid scholars Kimar, Carla, Chucheng, Dionisio for giving us an hour to share their experiences and knowledge with us. Also joining us today is Candice Herr, my colleague and the Service to Children Program and Outreach Coordinator. At the Page Education Foundation, we recognize the importance of civic engagement and volunteerism for our paid scholars. We are a nonprofit organization that provides scholarships to Minnesota students of color pursuing their dreams of post-secondary education. In return, our paid scholars are required to volunteer a minimum of 50 hours tutoring and mentoring children in grades K through 8th. We're aware of the positive impact that our paid scholars have. Every year they volunteer for elementary schools and community partners to complete their Service to Children project. Rather than us tell you why it's crucial for young adults to be involved in the community, we decided to put together this workshop and invited a panel of paid scholars to help answer some questions for you. So if you're interested in applying for the Page Grant Scholarship, the application is due in less than 1 month on April 1st, 2022. To learn more about our scholarship and eligibility, you can visit our website at www.page-ed.org. All right, Nancy, you want to pull up the PowerPoint, please? So we're on slide 3. Okay. In today's discussion with our panelists, we'll talk about the benefits of volunteering, the importance of volunteering, and how to get started. Volunteering, or giving your time to make an impact in the community, isn't always formal. The young woman in the picture that you see is paid scholar Jaleesa Singh at one of the rallies that she organized in the summer of 2020. So to help you put things into perspective, we did some calculations. We calculated the total number of hours that were completed by our paid scholars for their Service to Children project in 2020, which is 12,324 hours. And we multiplied that by the value of volunteer time, which is $30.98. So in total, our paid scholars donated a total of $381,791.52. That's worth their time and effort to Minnesota communities in 2020. The value of volunteer time, we did the calculations that was retrieved from independentsector.org. And you can learn more about that by visiting the link that will be provided in the chat box soon. We hope that after today's workshop, you'll understand the importance of volunteering so you can be effective change makers in the community someday. Again, if you have specific questions for our panelists, feel free to drop them in the group chat and we'll answer them later. All right, so we will begin. Nancy, if you want to minimize that and show everybody, please. Awesome. Okay, let's get started. Please welcome our panelists, Kimar, Carla, Chu Chang, Dionisio, and Candice Her, who will start by introducing themselves first. So in your introductions, please tell us your first name, your last name, the year you are in, and the college you're attending, the degree you're pursuing, and lastly, what motivated you to start volunteering. And I want you to, I encourage you to spend some time talking about the last question or giving a good response for the last one. What motivated you to start volunteering? So I'm going to start with Chu Chang, if you don't mind going first.
Not a problem. Hey everyone, my name is Chu Chang Yang. I'm currently attending the University of St. Thomas. And the degree that I'm pursuing right now is counseling psychology. And what motivated me to start volunteering? To be honest, like at the very beginning, before I was a page scholar, like I never volunteered before. Obviously, like there was like like packaging food and things like that, but I never really wanted to volunteer because like I never thought that I could do or like provide a positive impact, because like I'm already not doing good in school and things like that. Like how could I do that? But then once I got into the Page Education Foundation, I started volunteering my time. I started to see the positive ripple effects. So just seeing my positive what I view as positive impact on with volunteering really motivated me to continue volunteering. So for me, it wasn't really about the start, it was about the continuing of volunteering.
Nice, thank you, Chu Chang. Kimar, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, my name is Kimar McKinney Van Buren. I'm a junior at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. I'm majoring in kinesiology. And the reason why I volunteered, well, first and foremost, I remember like hearing about Page and having somebody come in and like speak to me about it. And just like understanding that like, first of all, it was a scholarship where I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But like the reason why I chose to volunteer, like I volunteered with the University YMCA and like with kids all day, which is like really cool because it's like, I'm an older brother myself. So like I spend time like with my little siblings, and it's just like, it didn't seem like too much of a, like a dedication, it didn't seem like too much of like a thing. It was just easy, I guess.
Awesome, thank you, Kimar. All right, Carla, would you like to go next?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Carla Alarcon, and I'm a junior at Metropolitan State University. I am majoring in political science, and the reason why I chose volunteering is prior to volunteering here, I volunteering on the side, working with kids before. So I like doing that, and I just want to give back to the community and make a difference, because I know that a lot of the kids that we volunteer with don't have the resources at home. So it's nice to know that you're making an impact in someone's life.
Awesome. Dionisio.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Dionisio. I am studying at the University of St. Thomas. My major is business financial management with a minor in Catholic studies. And the reason why I decided to volunteer really is to fulfill my passion, which is helping others. Right now, I'm helping out at Rising Christ Catholic Schools as a tutor mentor, and really just getting to know like each individual children and working with them. Really, it's very heartwarming, and seeing how they grow is really heartwarming.
All right, last but not least, our very own Candice.
Hello, my name is Candice Her, and I am the Service to Children Program and Outreach Coordinator at the Page Education Foundation. What I do at the foundation is I support Minnesota students of color, which is all of our Page scholars, in their pursuit of higher education. And I connect them to community partners and volunteer opportunities to encourage youth to see education as a positive goal. I graduated from Metropolitan State University with a Bachelor's of Science in Human Services and a minor in Psychology back in 2019, so right before the pandemic. And then prior to my role at the foundation, I worked with various TRIO and educational programs to support high school and college students. And in that time, while I was also working, I volunteered a lot with different organizations. And the reason why I volunteer is because of the community that I've built through those connections and opportunities, as well as creating a safe space that I was empowered in. And because I was empowered through these safe spaces, I wanted to create a safe space for other people and provide them the resources so that they can become empowered future leaders in our community. So that's what motivates me to volunteer and want to give back to my community.
Thank you, Candace. I will chime in as well and say, I mean, I kind of introduced myself already. I'm the Page Grant Coordinator at the foundation, and I've been at the foundation since 2019. Kind of the reason why I even started volunteering in the beginning, I started volunteering my senior year in high school. And at that time, I did it because, you know, I wanted my application for college to look great. I wanted them to think that I'm like, you know, this amazing person that loves to volunteer. Like, look at me, I'm doing all of these things. So the first organization that I volunteered at was this refugee organization that we actually came through. This helped support us when we first came to the US, when my family and I came to the US. So, you know, I was in high school at that time, and I really, at that time, was just trying to first build up my resume, try to get some experience. And then I started working at this nonprofit organization in Idaho, Agency for New Americans, and I actually loved it. I really enjoyed the work I did. And then since then, you know, when I came to college, I majored in women in international development, and all of my internships, none of them have been at a corporate office. All of them have been at an organization, a nonprofit, both here in Minnesota and in Idaho. So I volunteered with Women's Consortium, or interned at Women's Consortium, sorry. I interned at Center for Victims of Torture, and I interned at several other organizations that supported refugees and immigrants because I really want to make a difference in the community. I've been a college coach at College Possible. I've been basically everywhere in Minnesota, and I love what I do. I think that's how it started in college, because I saw the impact that I made in the community, and I wanted to continue that throughout college and even after college. And I still do some volunteering for other organizations. I do it during the holidays with my colleagues. I do it by myself. I love everything that I do. I think it's, you know, I wake up and I have a reason to give back. So that's my reason for volunteering. So, but I want to thank everybody for sharing a little bit about themselves. So we're going to begin the first round of questions about why volunteering is beneficial for everyone involved. And Chu Cheng, I'm going to start with you again. So Chu Cheng, can you talk about how volunteering has helped you develop a sense of purpose and boosted your self-confidence?
Yeah, so I think there's two parts to this, which is like the sense of purpose and self-confidence piece. I'll address the sense of purpose first. I think the overall sense of purpose, especially with volunteering to me, is being able to see the positive ripple effects of volunteering. You know, like even though you're helping just one student today, like you can see them open up and then they start talking to the other students around them, and then after that, those students go talk to other students, and you know, everyone's helping each other there. So to me, my overarching sense of purpose, especially with volunteering, is seeing the positive ripple effects that comes with volunteering, and that your help doesn't just stop with you. It motivates other people to go help other people too, you know. And then in regards to the self-confidence piece, again, like before I started volunteering, I wasn't too confident in myself and that I can make a positive impact, you know. But being able to see my actions have a reaction, and then reflecting on that reaction has been very beneficial, because again, seeing that your positive ripple effect impacts others, and then they impact other people too, you know. So the reflection in the reaction that volunteering has done for me has definitely and that reflection gives you the like the evidence or the proof that you can volunteer in a positive way, you know. And by having more and more stories and experience with that, It just boosts your self-confidence that you are able to create a positive change in the world.
Thank you. Humor, my next question is for you. How did volunteering impact you personally and made you a more compassionate and empathetic person?
Really just understanding that like everybody comes from different backgrounds, right? So when volunteering like with kids, just understanding that it's like your approach to them, like each child that has to be different, I guess, you know, in terms of like how you approach them and how you talk to them and how you deal with them. Because one kid may be more sensitive than the other, you know, so it's like just making sure that it's like you're still able to get the same message across, you know, regardless of just like, you know, how they may like interpret it, you're still able to like get through to them and get them to understand that it's like, you know, you're here to be a positive, I guess, influence, you know, you're here to like help, you're here to have fun and teach them along the way and things like that, and do what you can as a volunteer, you know, in your time there. So I would say like it helped me in terms of yeah, just like kind of just understanding what it is that like just how I can best like I guess approach, you know, like dealing like with kids and dealing like with them, because like how I interact, you know, with my siblings is obviously gonna be different than how I interacted with kids like in school. So it's like just when I'm talking to them, you know, getting them to be like, hey, like don't, you know, you don't need to do that. So like, why are you doing that? Things like that. And just trying to understand, like, I guess, like their perspective.
Awesome. Dionisio, I want to ask you the same question. How has volunteering impacted you personally and made you a more compassionate and empathetic person?
I feel like for me, it really has made me like into a better person, especially working around children. Really, you get to build like this tutor and mentor relationship, and from there, like it goes to show how really you can impact their lives and stuff like that. And also, like I remember once, like a favorite memory of mine is really like when I was working with a student for Valentine's Day, I got a card that said, "You are the best teacher ever," and it just was like, wow, I'm not even a teacher, but thank you. Which is really funny, but also like I don't know, it just shows how compassionate the children are, and like they enjoy having you as like someone who looks like them, and also like they can relate to, like they can ask for help, stuff like that.
I agree. Okay, Carla, besides compassion and empathy and everything else that we've talked about or just mentioned, what other traits do you believe make a good or a great volunteer?
Well, I think one of them is like being passionate about what you do and being able to be like open-minded and flexible, and also being able to work like with other people, like teamwork. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Carla. Chu Chang, do you have anything to add to that? What are sorry, go ahead.
And this is about like compassionate and empathetic.
Yeah, so besides the traits that we just talked about, compassion and empathy and the ripple effects, what other traits do you believe make a great volunteer when they first start out?
I think being open to being open that you will fail, you know. You're like volunteering is not perfect. And also you're not going to be there every day like I'm doing good for the world, you know. Like some days you're going in there and you're tired, like some days like you won't want to be there and things like that, but you really have to push through it, because I think that's what makes volunteering so impactful, because you're there for your purpose, and your purpose goes beyond your daily emotions of like the day-to-day things, you know. That's how strong volunteerism is. That's how strong your sense of purpose is. So just being open that every day is it's not all sunshine and rainbows. You will have those down days, but you don't let those down days like discourage you from your overall goal or overall purpose.
It's true. Dionisio, I want to ask you another question. What are some skills that brought you to your role as a volunteer, or what are some skills that you brought to your role as a volunteer?
Yeah, so a couple skills that I can mention is probably like the most important one to bring into a volunteering role is leadership. Whether it's working with like children or like as a team, it's important to be like at your best suit and have everyone just like look up to you and really know what you're doing. Another one is reliability. I think this one is also important. The program coordinators for volunteering really expect like, they don't expect like the best from you, but like they expect to be present at all times and be able to help out, especially when you're needed. And I'd say maybe the last one that I would bring in is critical thinking and problem solving skills. I feel like it's really important to like analyze different situations and be able to solve like the problem. And if you can't, I think it's like really important also to ask for help, especially the leaders around you and stuff like that. I think that's like one of the great things you can do. And these skills are just like some examples, but I know there are lots more that are also important. And there is also like an opportunity to grow in your skill set and learn as you are volunteering.
That is so true. All right. So the next question I want to ask all of you, can each of you briefly talk about the skills that you have developed while volunteering in the past few or several years? Anyone want to go first?
I can go first. Definitely like being more like, I guess, like vocal, because like I feel like I'm a very like quiet person. I'm very like reserved, I guess. So realizing that like in volunteering, I have to be like more like vocal, and I have to like be more, for lack of a better term, like confident like in like what I'm doing, or like especially like when it comes to like whether you're like tutoring or whether like, you know, you're like dealing like with kids, like you have to be like sure like what it is that you're doing. Even if it's like faking it till you make it, you know. So it's like just making sure that you like are also just willing to just like, you know, go out there and say something rather than you know, just like kind of, I guess, standing back a little bit and just allowing like other people to take the reins. Like if you know what it is that like should be done, then you should be willing to go out there and say that, rather than be like, well, just being so hands off about it, I guess.
That's true. Taking initiative is very important. It helps you develop leadership skills.
Mm.
All right. Anything else, or anyone else want to add to it?
Yeah, I can definitely add to that. And I think that follows along the lines of like advocacy, especially for the children, right? I specifically chose schools and volunteer sites where like they're extremely underserved. I mean, anywhere that offers volunteering, that they're pretty much underserved, right? But I specifically chose a site that I knew was underserved, and just kind of seeing like the experiences of what the children or the students are going through, and then advocating for that with the higher ups. You know, there are different lenses with volunteering, right? There are people who are there who do get paid, and then there's obviously you who's there for volunteering, right? And then just because you're there volunteering, you do have a different lens of like, hey, you know, maybe we should try this differently with this student because they're not learning the way that you want them to learn, you know, and then advocating for the student and helping them, helping the student as much as you can, because there will be individuals that you will meet during volunteering, especially if you volunteer at schools where they're kind of just there for like the paycheck type thing. But obviously, because you are volunteering, you come in with a different lens, you know, and you're able to advocate for them and be there for the students to, again, make a positive change in that student's life, or many of the students in the classroom, and then they themselves can help other students as well. So
Yeah, the taking initiative and speaking up and advocating, not just for yourself, but for the students or the people that you serve. Those are very good skills to develop and have. Thank you, Chucheng and Kimar. Dionisio and Kyla, would you like to add to that?
Sure. I think like one of the skills that I have developed while volunteering is probably communication, especially through like virtually, like through Zoom. Working with the students is kind of hard since we're not like in person, and I can't really like show them my work and stuff like that. But like what I've learned is to like become adaptable, which is another skill. By like sharing my screen and just like searching up a whiteboard app on Google and really just showing my work whenever I'm trying to like teach the kids how to solve a problem, and really it just like helps them a lot. So I think communication is like one of the skills that I have learned.
Yeah, I think it's very important to be the adult that you probably didn't have growing up. I think that's very important for the young children that you work with. Kyla.
I feel like he said, like communication is also one of the things that I've learned. And also because of COVID, it's kind of different. Like when you volunteer on Zoom, it's very different than volunteering in person. Because I know that this year I'm volunteering in person and Zoom, and it's kind of hard to communicate, especially like with times when you volunteer and like talking to the parents if they don't speak like English, to get like time to volunteer with the kids. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you. So we spent some time talking about the benefits of volunteering, but for the individual, the organization, and the communities involved. Next, I would like us to talk about the importance of volunteering. So we talked about the benefits. Now I want us to talk about the importance of volunteering. So Chu Cheng, I'm going to start with you again. Can you tell us about a volunteer experience that you've had that helped you develop these leadership skills that we've kind of been talking about?
Yeah, so in regards to the leadership skills, one thing along with the advocacy that I talked about, and Kimar kind of talked about this as well, it's us being able to self-start, all volunteerism is really self-starting, because volunteering, you're doing it out of your free time, volunteering is like, you freely offer to take part in your community. So it's things that quote unquote you don't have to do, but you openly do it by yourself, from your purpose. So the important thing with the self-starting is that every day you're pretty much self-starting. You're learning how to use that self-starting muscle and building that, and then helping, and then you're also learning things after you self-start, because once you self-start, you actually get to the location, and then you start helping people, and then every day you're learning something new. So for sure, self-starting is one of the leadership skills. No particular volunteer experience, but it's just, again, every day is the self-starting muscle that you're building for yourself, to help other people, to help serve other people, which is important to leadership.
Awesome. Anyone else would like to provide their point of view, their opinions? Just a volunteer experience you've had that helped you develop leadership skills? It's fine if you don't. All right, so we are then going to move on to the next one. Why, Kimar, I'm going to start with you this time. Why is volunteering personally important to you, and why do you volunteer?
That's a good question. I feel like volunteering is important for me, just because it's like, I understand, I guess, like I understand like its importance. Like I understand that like not everybody may have like a lot of like the opportunity. I think somebody mentioned this earlier, but like not everyone's gonna have like the same amount of like resources or opportunities and things like that. So when it comes to like, like homework help or something like that, like at the university YMCA, where it's like it's tutoring, like people may not have like, the those like abilities or opportunities to like get that help that they need. So then they go to homework help and they get that help through there. And really just like understanding that like you don't need to do like this, you don't need to do something like as big, I guess. You don't need to do something like philanthropic or something to that effect. Like you can do something as simple as like going and playing with the kids like after school and like doing something like that. Like it's the little things that build up to the big things. So I understand that importance where it's like I can contribute into like some greater effect or some greater thing just through like what I'm doing. And I know that like what I'm doing it means a lot like to the kids. So just understanding that as well.
Do you think that, follow-up question for you then, Kimar, do you think that when students see you consistently every day or a few times a week, do you think that that helps them in any way?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, because I know that from my own experience, like dealing like with volunteers, like, you may see them like one day and then they may choose not to like come back and volunteer again or something to that effect. So, so just having somebody who's like there like every Monday or every like, Wednesday, like I remember from my own experience, like fall semester, like I literally like I would go on Mondays to it was called like Kids in Motion. So like, we just play like with the kids like after school. And like when we came back for spring semester, like they remember me by name. They're like, "Hey, Kimar," and I was like, "Oh wow!" Like I didn't think that they were gonna like remember me. So that meant a lot to me, you know, just to hear that and just to see them, because it's like, you know, they kept like that connection. They made that connection with me, and it was able to like still pull over into the next semester.
Thank you. Dionisio, I want to ask you, why do you think volunteering personally is important to you, and why do you volunteer?
For me, volunteering is like is important to me because like I've had like in my academic career, I've had like professionals who are willing to give up their time and really be like a mentor for me. And really from that, like it has had a great impact in my life. As you know, like I did choose on finance as my major, and that's because of them. And also like this is something that I want to do with children, like especially working with children who have like the same background, who look like me and are just like me. Really be there for them and be able to help them out a lot, especially like on life decisions and like what opportunities there are available for them.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh.
Oh.
I guess like, and to add on to that, like I know like talking about professions, there are corporate jobs and stuff like that that really hold, like I think it is important to like after college, maybe if you want to join like a corporate company, to join a company that you really do like that holds the same values as you, such as like volunteering. And there are some companies that do that, like they pay their employees to go out and volunteer as well.
Awesome. Yeah, so like what everybody else has been saying, representation matters, especially for children and the people that you're serving. You know, volunteering tends to be like a privilege because it's usually for someone who can make time to volunteer. I want to point out or give you some stats. According to the 2017 census data, 34% of people of color in Minnesota say they volunteer versus the 50% of those that identify as white. And although like 34% of people of color reported that they volunteer, that's still estimated to be low because many, and this is because, or part of the reason is because many of them are likely to, volunteering through churches or other informal ways, but they just don't call it volunteering. They call it help or support. So I have a question for you then, Carla. With all that you've done for your Service to Children project since becoming a paid scholar, can you talk about the importance of role models and mentors? We kind of touched on this in the last question, but can you just tell us or talk about the importance of role models and mentors? And do you think that your work is more impactful on others as a volunteer identifying as BIPOC?
Yeah, I feel like when you're volunteering, you're making like a difference like in the kid's life, like that you're volunteering, and then you're also gaining skills also as a volunteer. And I know that when I first came to the US, I was placed in a school where it was all just English and I didn't speak the language, so I had like no resources at home. Like I didn't know how to do homework. I didn't even know what homework was. And this year I'm volunteering at an organization that works with refugees that are coming from different countries. And I'm basically working with a family of 3 kids this year. And they don't really speak English. So I know like it's like very impactful for me to like work with them and stuff. And I wish like when I first came here, I wish that I had like a mentor or someone like helping me. So I just feel like it's very important, like working with like minorities and stuff, because I know that they don't have the same resources at home or the help that they would like to have at home. So yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to add to that? Is anyone else willing to talk about the importance of role models and mentors and why it's impactful on others as a volunteer, as you're volunteering and you're identifying as a BIPOC?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot has already been said. But like speaking from my own experience though, like going into volunteer, And like a lot of like, my fellow volunteers are like, they're not BIPOC, like they're not like people of color. So it's like, so, just going into like Minneapolis public schools to like volunteer, and those kids start to gravitate like more to me because like they see that representation. So I understand like, I guess like that level of responsibility, I guess for lack of a better term, like that level of responsibility that like when I show up, I have to make sure that like, I engage them, like, and I talk to them and I make them feel seen because, like 10 years down the road or to that effect, like that, they may be in the same like place where they're coming into to schools to volunteer. They may be, the only person of color, and they have to do the same thing where it's like, they're trying to make sure that that the other, children of color feel seen. So just kind of just like paying it forward, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Again, it goes back to what we've been talking about, what we've all been saying. You have to be the adult that you didn't have growing up, because it's, otherwise that's how that's how you make an impact in the community. That's how you make an impact in the world. You didn't have it. That's okay. Future generations can have it. Kimara, I want to ask you another question. How has volunteering and learning about all issues that different communities face impacted your experience as a student? Has it influenced your career trajectory in any way?
That's actually a really good question. I kind of, for sure going into like Minneapolis public schools. So like my family moved around like a lot. So like I've gone to like Minneapolis public schools. I went to like a school called Nellie Stone Johnson for like a year and a half. So like I've been, in schools that like definitely had like left a lot to be desired. But like it was also just, it was kind of strange for me to walk in there and see like, the gym floor was like really dusty to the point of like, it was like slippery, and it's like just that type of thing where it's like, you want to make sure that these kids have like the best of the best, like that they feel like, that they have like all the tools necessary to like succeed. So to like walk in there and kind of like be like in that space, and they don't even like think anything other than it, like they don't feel any type of way about it or anything like that. They're just like running around and playing. Just kind of made me come to terms and realize that like I don't know, like I didn't really like, I didn't think about it like that. Like when I walked in, I was like, wow, like this shouldn't be like this, but they didn't see it that way. So that kind of like affected my perspective to the point of where like I just like, I don't know, like I want to do what I can to make sure that like I can help, in whatever way. So that kind of, so in that way, it kind of did affect my career trajectory where, I'm pre-med. So like when I go into like, into medicine, and when I get involved like in this space, like, I want to make sure that like I can go in and still go back and like volunteer, and still go back and like be like in these spaces, in these places where I can talk to these kids and, make sure that like they feel, I guess like better just about things. I don't know, but like it was definitely a learning experience. So it was definitely something different to see.
Awesome, thank you. So, all right. The origin of the word philanthropy, we kind of talked about this or kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but the origin of the word philanthropy comes from the Latin words philo and anthropos, translating to love for humankind. The Oxford Dictionary defines it as the generous donation of money to good causes. In recent years, the new concept of youth philanthropy is now including young people donating their time, serving others in the community as philanthropists. Candace, besides volunteering, what are some other ways that young adults can give back to the community?
Yeah, so besides volunteering, there are many ways young adults can give back to the community. I think most of us are familiar with volunteering at community centers, volunteering at food shelves, giving money or donating items, but there are so many other ways you can give back. It can be as simple as going to city council meetings or even community meetings just to see what's going on in the community. How can I help support those around me, whether it is the immediate community or those outside. You can even do so by, if you have the right to vote, go and vote, because not only does it impact you, but it impacts those around you. And it's a right that you can exercise to make a difference in your community, and that's how you can give back. You advocate for those that can't, and you advocate for yourself and what you believe in. Also, starting programs and seeing opportunities that you can grasp onto. I know that we have quite a few Page Scholars who start up their own little safe space on their campuses. And they do this by starting little programs or little organizations or little opportunities for everyone to gather. We've even had Page Scholars go and create opportunities such as ways to positively engage children. I think we had one who created a program where they help middle school girls work on their public speaking skills. And we have also had others who created curriculums within programs to help encourage kids to engage in science and engineering activities. And so even if you have a small, simple idea that can start into something bigger, that's something in a way young adults can give back to the community. And I think one of the biggest things too, as mentioned, is just sharing your time, your network, and your knowledge. I know that a lot of times we think that as young individuals, we don't have enough experience, we don't have the skills or the capabilities, but honestly, young adults, you have so much to give to the world. You have the knowledge, you have the ability to do research and find things, you are innovative. And I think it's through your innovation and also the way that you network with one another, that you can give your time and help your community. Knowledge is power. And so if you know how to, for example, build a resume, if you know how to teach, if you know how to even help with a simple math problem and provide these resources, your knowledge is a way for you to give back to your community. And also if you branch out your network and you know of somebody who can provide resources, that's a way that you can give back to your community too, is connecting one person to another, and all of a sudden that person could be the next big impact in there. I believe we had a Page Scholar who had shared with us one time that they connected with their robotics team because they saw a shortage of materials for personal protective equipment. And because of their connection with the robotics team and their school and university, they managed to 3D print a bunch of resources and shields to donate to children's hospitals. And so there are so many ways that you can give back by just knowing, hey, I have these resources, I have these people that can give back. And I know I have the ideas and the time to give to other people. And so those are really big ways that you can give back. Aside from volunteering and aside from monetary donations or anything like that. And in a segue too, a lot of our Page Scholars do continue to give back to the community even after they graduate. A lot of them either come back and volunteer at our events or they donate when they have the funds to do so. And all of the participation as volunteers at our events and their donations go back into the Page Education Foundation, and it helps fund future grants for future Page Scholars, which could be you too, and for not only you, but it could be for your friends or your family. And so that's one way our Page Scholars have given back, and they've also given back by giving their time. They volunteer as mentors to our Page Scholars, helping them develop their professional skills. And some of them have even helped by connecting their companies that they've been working with and creating our Accelerate partners. For example, we have Best Buy, Hy-Vee, Slalom, we have Securian Financial, and Thomson Reuters, and all of our partners. We had a Page Scholar actually come back and say, hey, like I want to introduce my company to you guys, and I want to build a pipeline where scholars can learn how to grow as a professional, and they get to meet a network of professionals, and then lastly, potentially get a paid internship. And that was how they can give back to our Page Scholars after they had graduated. And so it's, as Kimar has mentioned, is paying it forward, is giving back. And so those are just some ways that young adults can give back now, and then later on in the future, how you can give back even after.
Thank you, Candace. All right, for the sake of time, I'm just gonna ask everybody the same question, and then you guys can take turns and answer this. How did you deal with a bad volunteer experience? We've talked about how volunteering is amazing, it's great, but you know, you can have bad experiences too. What did you learn from that experience? If you can share that with the audience, please.
Yeah, I can go first. Again, volunteering isn't all sunshine and rainbows every day. There are moments where, you know, let's say a child's not listening to you, or you know, and you run into like a roadblock where you don't know what to do. I would say this is when you can utilize your volunteer site supervisor, or any adult around you that's a resource to help you navigate through it. You know, although volunteerism is a lot of like self-starting, don't neglect your resources around you that can also help you deal with certain situations. You know, there's always the Page Education Foundation on the like application and like background type of things, paperwork things. There's obviously your volunteer site supervisors to help you navigate through situations on how to handle certain situations and things like that. So again, although you're self-starting, a lot of the times, don't neglect the resources that are there for you, because um, it's extremely helpful to not only help the students that are in front of you, but also to help you deal with other situations if those situations ever pop up again.
Kimmer, would you like to go next? How did dealing with a bad volunteer experience, or how did you deal with a bad volunteer experience, and then what did you learn from it, if you did?
Really just like about trying to, I can't remember the exact word, but really just like about learning how to just like just self-advocacy, you know, like learning how to like speak on your own behalf and be like, hey, you know, whether it be the site that you're volunteering at or something to that effect, like if it's like just not working, make sure that you're you know, letting them know so that something can happen, whether that change is needed or not. So in my case, it's literally been like going and volunteering at the at like this YMCA in New Hope, and it was just like really hectic every single, and it was Friday, so you know, I see like a lot of kids are like, I'm just trying to go home, so so I was literally just volunteering with them, and the like the site lead was just not really helping, and she wasn't really keeping like us on track, because we were supposed to be reading to the kids, but the kids didn't want to listen. So that whole process just like helped in terms of me being able to like voice my opinion more and be like, hey, like, you know, like this is, we're trying to help, and like this is what we're trying to do. And in order for us to like, in order for this to move as smoothly as possible, like we need you to do X, Y, and Z so that we can do this. And you know, that was fixed, the issue was fixed, and it's been smooth sailing since. So just like, in so many words, what I was able to learn from that is self-advocacy.
Carla, would you like to tell us if you have any bad volunteer experiences and what you learned from it?
Yeah, I think the only like bad volunteer experience I've had is this year, like trying to communicate with the parent of the kids I was working with Hands Across the World, just kind of not communicating like when we were gonna do volunteer. So it was kind of stressful, but I was able to talk to the person that was in charge of the volunteer site, and she was able to give me some options, like if I wanted to work with the different family and kids. But I was able to finally talk to the mom and kind of come to an agreement of like what days we would do Zoom and stuff. And I also work, so I was trying to put like effort into having like some days that were set. But I think that was just like the only like bad volunteer experience I've had.
Dionisio, any bad experiences you'd like to share with the panelists or with the audience?
Sure. For me, an example could be trying to teach like online. It is difficult, especially when the homework of the students is like in the book. I've found ways to make it easier for myself and for them. like what I do is try to get a picture from them, talk to the parents and be like, hey, can you send me a picture so that I can see their homework and make sure that we are doing the exact thing. And then also really just finding ways to make learning better for them and stuff like that. But other than that, I've never really have had like a really bad experience.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. At this time, we would like to take some questions from the audience. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box and then we will try our best to answer them.
There is one question. How would you be able to find volunteer opportunities online? I can answer it. For me, how I found the volunteering opportunities that I have had, really at my school, St. Thomas, I'm pretty sure like other schools also offer the same thing. There's like a tutor mentor program, and they provided me with like a list of volunteer sites that I can volunteer at, and also like if you reach out to the Page Education Foundation, they can also help you find volunteer sites, stuff like that. But online, you can Google them, but I'd say like finding someone who like is local and stuff like that, like for me, like the tutor mentor program at St. Thomas really has helped me.
I would also like to add on to that you can find a lot of different opportunities. I know that we have, I believe we are connected with Hands-On Twin Cities too sometimes, and they have a bunch of opportunities there. And then there's also Volunteer Match, but also I do a lot of looking into different organizations online to see if they have volunteer opportunities. I look for keywords online just so that we can find those opportunities that fits what you want to do, what you're passionate about, and where you want to serve. And then there are virtual opportunities now too with the whole pandemic, but those are popping up a lot more lately. But yes, there are ways to find them online. But I think some of the best opportunities are the ones that you can find through connections, just because then you have a better idea of how they are as an organization. You can ask the person who has volunteered there before, what was their experience like? And you get to know firsthand what it's like to be a part of that organization or that program when you start to volunteer. So.
And then I can add a little bit more. If you ask for like connections, like from your connections, there are some programs that are willing to like reimburse. Like if traveling is difficult for you, like for St. Thomas, the tutor mentor program really helps their students like help them volunteer and make it possible for them to volunteer, because they either reimburse you money for like the gas mileage, or also like for your Ubers, they also reimburse you the money. There's like great programs, especially like you just have to look around and find connections kind of.
Yeah, Candace, I know St. Thomas has, they're really big on helping or getting their students to volunteer. Do you know of other schools or other organizations doing something similar? I think St. Kate's has something maybe. I think some of the private schools, but there might be other schools besides those two as well that offer something like that.
A lot of schools usually have a community engagement center, and that's where a lot of our Page Scholars can actually go to as a resource if you're looking for volunteer placement and opportunity. So definitely check those out on your campus. I think a big thing too, as you're going into college, is to look for all the resources that are available there and try to utilize them. Part of it is that you're already paying for it, so might as well go and use the resources that are available. But the community engagement center is usually something that's pretty big at most majority of the schools. And so.
All right, any other questions that we can answer? All right, so at this time, we are just going to wrap it up. This is the end of our second workshop. Once again, thank you everyone for attending this workshop, including the panelists. A friendly reminder that the Page Grant application is due in less than a month on April 1st, 2022. You can learn more about eligibility by visiting our website at www.page-ed.org. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Our email address is info, so info @page-ed.org. Nancy will put that in the chat. If you have any questions about your application or we're not sure what to submit, you can email us. Our phone number is 612-332-0406. Nancy will put that in the chat box as well. Once again, thank you, and we look forward to receiving your application soon. And you are welcome to ask questions. I think our panelists will be here. So if you would like to ask questions, feel free to put the questions in the chat box. I'll have you guys stay after everybody is logged out. Okay, so we've got 6 of us now. Everyone's gone.